David is back in Wuhan now. I know you just got there a couple hours ago. Just what's it like from what you've seen so far?
You know, you get the feeling, Anderson, that this is a city trying to awaken once again. I mean, it was a 76-day brutal lockdown, harsh conditions in many of the communities here. Folks couldn't leave their homes. They were sealed off, not even to go outside to get a little bit of air. And so you start to see it's coming back. In fact, one of the things that we're struggling with here is the background noise of traffic. But that's a good sign, right? I mean, that means that clearly folks are trying to get back to life, trying to get back online with their businesses. Kind of surreal. I mean, the last time I was here was 3 months ago, and I woke up kind of in the middle of my nap around 3 a.m. local time, realizing that 3 months ago to that day was when I got a call saying, you got to get out. The city's about to go on lockdown.
What procedures are in place? What kind of screening process, if any, did you have to go through? Did you have to get tested? And what are the controls like in Wuhan for citizens?
As you know, we were in Shanghai for the past 2.5 months, and we have been working for weeks to try to plan our trip back here to Wuhan, because this is not about just getting a ticket, getting on a train, and then showing up at a hotel that you've booked. I mean, it's a lot of procedures that you have to have in place. Now, let me show you, as you can see on the train that we finally were able to get on board out of Shanghai, there were a good number of people there. I mean, people, locals in particular, are traveling once again within China. What's interesting, though, is that we've seen less and less of the kind of largely protective garments that people were wearing. I mean, the white hazmat suits that we saw just a few weeks ago when we were traveling, people seem to shed those for the most part. Everybody wears a mask. Of course, it's mandatory. And a good number of people, ourselves included, wear gloves. One thing that is really interesting, though, Anderson, is the treatment of foreigners. We've noticed that they'll come up to us on the train, for example, want to know where we were coming in from, how long we've been in the country. They'll look at our passports several times. They'll do multiple rounds of temperature checks. And it's not necessarily to ostracize us, though that does happen in some parts here. It's mostly because they're concerned about these imported cases. And that is something that I've even gotten a few strange looks, and even a mom and daughter on the train next to us, local, who just looked at us and said to the train staff member that they wanted to switch cabins. I think there's that much concern of the unknown.
And you know, you've shown us in the past this code on your phone that gets you into public places. Will traveling to Wuhan change that at all? I mean, it's an unbelievable system there. For a lot of reasons, it probably would not exist in the United States. But will you have to quarantine once you leave Wuhan?
This QR code is the golden ticket, and the way it works, as we've explained, is each jurisdiction has their own. So ours in Shanghai, for example, doesn't necessarily help us get around here within Wuhan, but it does help us check into a hotel. So it's the first thing they wanted to see before even letting us into the door of the hotel to go in and continue the check-in process. As of now, ours has remained green. As you know, green is kind of the clear all to go through. If it goes yellow or red, you can be flagged for quarantine. Of course, we're hoping that it remains green, and it should remain green according to how the Chinese government has said that Wuhan has technically reopened. Hubei province, the original epicenter, is now back open, and people are able to leave freely. And so the idea is, at least from the government's perspective, that people who leave Wuhan are able to go back into other cities within China and resume their normal lives. We'll see if that holds true for us. Otherwise, it could be quarantine.
抖音、